Alright, so hello videos. My name is William. Alright, now today I could talk about this bill, this law. So that will go into effect next year. And I know it's very unconstitutional. I'm going to get to that right now. And why we need this need to get this law repealed the next legislative session. Well, I'll tell you why we need to get this law repealed the next legislative session. Now, the Color Age Protected Sign Code Act, which has already gone into effect on July 1st, 2024, well, this law needs to get repealed the next legislative session too. Because it's all this one, and I already talked about the Age Protected Sign Code Act already. But I'm talking about the bill called Protect Your Kids from Social Media Addiction Act. So, well, it will go into effect January of next year. So that's why. Let's read about this bill, about this unconstitutional bill, okay? This unconstitutional law, all right? So, 16 law, the California Age Appropriate Design Code Act requires beginning on July 1st, 2024, which provides an online service protect, which features likely to by children and certain requirements. It requires like businesses and data protection assessment, addressing among other things. The design could harm children, or rather than online protect service, feature rather design and increase. And it says extend use protect service, featured by children, or including automatic playing of data rewards or time spent and notifications. Because the law prohibits business from personal information of any child in the way. A business knows it has to know to physical health, mental or health of a child. Existing law provider rights of California minors in the digital world, operators of internet website, online service application. Okay. Online application, mobile application is certified of the including marketing, advice of alcohol beverages, firearms, and preventive services for the protections of the consumer of the California Privacy Act of 2018 and the California Privacy Rights Act 2020. All right. Okay, I've done this to say about those laws, but let's keep reading. So this bill, the Protect Kids from Social Media Addiction Act, make it unlawful for operators to addictive internet-based application is defined. An addictive user operator does not have knowledge of users a minor, commencing on January 1st, 2027 as the assembly of determinant of user is not a minor. But it is becoming addictive if a user is a minor. But I want to get into why it's age. This bill addictive defines internet website, online services, and online applications, multiple pieces of media. Certification selected display information user, otherwise users online services provide unless a certain is met. This bill would unlawful operator an addictive internet-based service application between the hours of 12 a.m. and 6 a.m. of the local time zone, between hours a.m. to 3 p.m. Monday through Friday through September and May. Uses local time zone indications, actual knowledge as a minor or commencing at January 1st, 2027 has not reasonably determined the user is not a minor unless operator a variable parental consent and set notifications specified. The bill will set forth related provisions of certain across controls determined by the verified parent and the mechanism provided by the operator. Under the bill, parents have consent use the mechanism described above and not waive, release, otherwise limit. Or serve of any claim of the parent, and there is a minor of using service application might of the mental health as well as of the user. The bill of an operator disclose the number of internet-based service or application, of the total number of the situation of the provide of the user's controls are enabled. Under the bill, will only be enforced through the state of the California by Attorney General. Well, right now we have Rob Bonta as the Attorney General, And yeah, and Michael Gates might be the next Attorney General if you vote for him. Then Nami might have to, yeah, if he becomes anyway. That's why. But Michael Gates is a Republican, and he will keep up the crime, and he will try. Yeah, Michael Gates will stop crime in California. That's what he was trying. That's what he was trying to do anyway, and make sure of that. Yeah, that's why. But yeah, that's green. So bill will require the Attorney General agents further applications of these states. Okay, provisions regarding age assurance. That's okay. So there it is, age assurance. So it's either age verification or age attestation. That's why. And the protocol sent by January 1st, 2027. The bill, although it is Attorney General obligations or provisions, but it says further protect minors. This bill will require Attorney General and promulgate regulations regarding impact of based legislation characteristics of the law. The bill and provisions, yeah, servable. So that's why. So it's age assurance, which means either age attestation or age verification. But it's really the same thing. Now we need to talk about this. So that's why. So it's SB 976. So EAF, the 9th Circuit. Young people have the First Amendment right to use social media and all of its features. Well, let's read about this, okay? Minors, like everyone else, have the First Amendment rights. These extend their ability on social media with both and speak access to speech and others online. But these rights are under attack, and they may states seek to limit minors. The social media and through age verification minors outright banned. So California's SB 976, or the Protect Our Kids from Social Media Addiction Act, prohibits minors from using the key feature of social media platforms. And personalized regulation system on the news feeds, and this law limits a permanent minor's ability to communicate, to find others, and speech on social media. Now, I know I'm pretty late for talking about this law, but we need to expose it anyway, and we need to get this law repealed in the next legislative session, anyway. But let's talk about anyway. Well, because this law does not last forever anyway. But let's keep reading this, okay? So on February 6, 2025, EFF, the Freedom of Foundation of the Library, is a brief 9th Circuit appeals and Net Choice v. Bonta, urging the court of this decision of denying the permanent injection of SB 976. So SB 906 was passed into law in September of 2024. Yeah, that's right. That's when it was signed. And it permits various online platforms providing personalized accreditation to minors without per consent. For now, this permission only applies to platforms knowing a user to minor. Starting in 2027, however, the platforms need to estimate the age all the users based, permitted by the California Attorney General. Yeah, I know that'll be. Yeah, that's why either it'd be Rob Bonta or the next Attorney General, which will be Michael Gates. I don't think Michael Gates will enforce these laws. That's why. But that's keep reading anyway. That means that all users, platforms, needs, and systems will need to pass through the age gate, continue using these features. 2. The children without per consent is denied access to protected speech and organized and to distribute via news feeds. This is separate from the fact of the central of the most platforms user experience, and this is separate from the fact that needs a central to most platforms user experience, and it's not clear now social media platforms will adapt to experience young people to comply with this law, because these affects both the user and platforms. First Amendment rights. EFF fills this a court of a brief, and this work of our broader right and familiar age verification laws and the state and federal laws. Alright, so the EFF is to both advocate First Amendment rights of adult minor of the correct dangerous logic district court. The district court However, net choices challenge on behalf of the online platforms. Ruled by the personalized feeds of covered by SB 926 is not expressive, therefore not covered by the First Amendment. The lower court extremely ignore view of the constitutes expressive activity. Writing the algorithms of personalized news feeds is not news feeds don't reflect messages or editorial choices or their human creators, and therefore does not trigger the First Amendment. The Ninth Circuit has since stayed the Stickett ruling from merely blocking the law from taking effect until it has a chance to consider its issues. The IPAC pushed back a fault of the reasoning, arguing that most of feeds targeted by SB 976 are expressive because they first choices of the platforms content of their services to and incorporate and respond of the expression of to create user speech and provide users the means of access speech in a digestible and organized way. Moreover, the presence of the personalized recommendation systems informs that speech that users create on platforms, and users often create content with the intent or getting picked up by the algorithm and delivered to other users. So SB 926 burdens the First Amendment rights of the minor social media users by blocking their use primary systems in the studio of their speech. Here, others systems EFE brief argues. The statute burdens all internet users' First Amendment rights because the age-verification scheme, it requires blocking some adults accessing lawful speech and make it impossible for speak anonymously on these online services, increase their risk of privacy invasions. Under the law, adults and minors will alike need to provide defined documents to prove their age. Chills have any age to wish on to remain anonymous. From accessing protected speech or accused adults lacking proper documentation, exposes will do share documentation to data, or sale of their data. And I hope the Ninth Circuit recognizes the personalized recognition systems of nature, subjects SB 936 as strict scrutiny, and rejects this district court ruling. Yeah, I believe SB 936 needs to get repealed, and hopefully it gets repealed the next. Hopefully we can get that repealed the next legislative session. That's all we can say about that. Unconstitutional law. Yeah, I know, and this was made in February of last year. This electronic foundation, February of last year. So this article right here, but yeah, you can read it for yourself anyway. And then after that, so they wrote a letter in November. And yes, and then check convicted allegation did roll a letter about this. Here's the PDF right here anyway. To Attorney General Rob Bonta, that's why. You can also read right here. I'm not going to read it because it will take a long time anyway. But yeah, that's to protect kids from. So that's the bill. That's the law called Protecting Kids from Social Media Addiction Act. It's a very constitutional law requiring some kind of age verification or age attestation. That's why. I don't like it. Now we need to talk about now. Electoral Foundation did publish an article about AB 1799, which is the California social media ban. Well, I'll go into talking about that as well. But yeah. But we need to talk about, so SB 976 needs to get, so SB 976 law, well, this law needs to get repealed, and hopefully it gets repealed the next legislative session. That's why. Because we did not stop it from becoming a law, and then we have to get repealed the next legislative session. That's what we can do about this this unconstitutional law. Get it repealed the next legislative session. Anyway, that's all we can do about SB 976. But we need to get into now. Now let's go back and talk about SB 1709, which is California social media ban. I'll get to that law now. All right. And we need to get people to reject this one. So, admitting AB 1709 doesn't fix California's social media ban and still threatens free speech and privacy. Okay, so Californians have admitted AB 1709. The core problem remains the bill that bans social media for youth under 16 and still threatens the privacy of and the First Amendment rights for all Californians. Okay, proponents of the bill may argue minutes of a percent compromise. The city concludes as the move forward to the Senate. We may continue to urge lawmakers to vote no and take a sit under AB 709. Okay, now Copyright still denies access. The platforms are still offering addictive features used under 16, and platforms need to keep an eye on account-only strip-away features, and this includes bill calls, addictive feeds, autoplay, or anything else. Attorney General designates and feature rulemaking. However, it defines active feeds so broadly it covers eventually a functional recognition algorithm. The bill applies to manifestation of the general content recommendation of the whole part information provided by the user, and then user feeds will propose they like or self-expressed interest. By calling basic tools and features addictive, the bill will also conclusions of the central science behind social media use and youth and addiction. Because every major social media service users augment feeds and deliver content, the end result of AB 729 remains the same. Young people under 16 will be denied access to major social media services and that currently exist. Even if the platform attempts to comply, stripping away recognition systems for minors, this still violates the First Amendment. The recognition systems are providing tools that users to find speech instead of their own, forcing young people to accept down in the situation of social media burdens, and right access of the public discourse. Now, AB 1729 still forces invasive age verification. Alright, let's read about that now. The amendments did not eliminate age gating, although the bill references age sickness work at AB 2043. Alright, now that's the Digital Age Assurance Act. I already talked about that law, right? I'll try to get that law repealed the next legislative session. You know, the Digital Age Assurance Act. I know it's age attestation on device level. That's why. I'll get into, but I already talked about that. I'll try to get that law repealed the next. I'll try to get a repeal bill going for that in the next legislative session. That's why, so that law doesn't last forever. You know, the Digital Age Assurance Act. But I'll get into the. But yeah, I know I already talked about that unconstitutional law anyway. That's why. But let's keep reading. Now, Section 684 especially states the covered platform shall verify the age of the user, and platforms liable at the time under 16 with an age check. Because AB 2043 does not actually specify how age verification could occur without requiring requiring additional proof. AB 709 will, in practice, force platforms to implement the strictest forms of age verification. To comply, platforms will likely require users upload government issue IDs or submit biometric scan. Taking a selfie? Or like taking a selfie for age verification? Stupid! Anyway, I'm not going to do that. I'm 32 years old and I look younger than my age. And I'll be 33 on March anyway. But just saying anyway. Yeah, bad idea. Don't take a selfie for age verification. Please don't. Anyway, let's keep reading. Forcing users to turn over personal information will create massive honeypots of sensitive personal data, destroying online anonymity and exposing users for all ages to security breaches, and relying on biometric systems to verify users' ages is problematic because systems are going to have enough errors to sustain to cross general lines. Lawmakers must reject AB 1709. The amendments of AB 1709 reduce legal confusion and create provisions that are indicative of edition of SB 976. Yeah, that's a particular Ultimate Edition Act, which I'm trying to talk about in this video, but yeah. And providing clarity of the young people. AB 709 creates a regulatory scheme of the civilizations, credential rights, and political grandstanding. The denying access additional forums, stripping forums of the basic tools, and the navigating amid censorship. California should not set a national precedent of the cutting of young people in the life of communities and speech. We need to keep pressure as AB 709 moves to the Senate. Protect your senator today and tell you the minor tweaks a bad bill and did not make it a good policy. So yeah, yes, contact your senator and tell them and ask for a no vote on AB 1709. Please do that. And we need to get SB 976 repealed in the next legislative session, because this law is very unconstitutional. It's a violation of First and Fourth Amendment, and we need to get this law repealed in the next legislative session. All right. We need better laws for California, and we keep getting more and more age verification and attestation laws. It's only going to get worse. That's why. So, but yes, ask for no vote on AB 709, and if it becomes law, then you have to ask for a repeal in another legislative session. That's why. And in another legislative session. That's why. You know. Well, in the legislative session of 2028. That's why. If it becomes law, that's why. But yeah, SB 906, hopefully we can get SB 966 repealed in the next legislative session, because this law is very unconstitutional and needs to get repealed. I already let my senator, my state senator, Susan Rubio, know, even though, you know, Mike Nettie, is the one that talking about here. So yes. So yeah, get your people. So yeah, get people to vote no on this, please. So yes, please ask. Oh yeah, sorry. So yeah, please ask for a no vote on AB 729. And let's get this law on. Let's get AB 76 law repealed in the next legislative session. We need to get this law repealed in the next legislative session anyway. Even though it will still go into effect next year, we can still get it repealed after that. So that way it won't be. So it won't only enforced for only a small bit of time. All right, and then also and yeah, the Digital Age Assurance Act. Well, we need to get that law repealed the next legislative session too. so that it's only lasting only for a short amount of time and not forever. Okay, so that's the reason why we need to get these laws repealed in the next legislative session. So, but yeah, get your lawmakers to vote on SB 79. But if it does become law, then you have to ask for a repeal in another legislative session. Alright, that's why. That's what you have to do anyway. And then SB 966 is we need to get this law repealed anyway. Now we need to talk about I want to go back to betterinternetbills.com though. Yeah, here's the article. Now this article is supposed to be about the Take It Down Act. It's already just a bill I already talked about anyway. I will put it. Anyway. Yeah, oh yeah, and yeah, if you want to, and look, so you can watch my How to Go Heaven video on Rumble or BitChute anyways. But and yes, call your local representatives and come and tell them to reject these bills. Well, tell them to repeal the Take It Down Act, because the Take It Down Act is already law anyway. But and I already talked about that anyway. But yeah, you can help with the top news right here. You can look at the top news over here, and yeah, yes, please, please vote yes on folder, and yes, if you live in California, please vote yes on Prop 39 for folder ID, and vote yes on Prop 33 to stop tax hikes. You know that's why. I'll get into talking to another bill later on in the future anyway, that it probably needs to get repealed in California sometime in the future as well. I'll get into that at a different time anyway. But yeah, SB 926 is a law that needs to get repealed. And hopefully we can get repealed in the next legislative session. Because I don't like this law either. I hate it. So, you can also let me know in the comments below about this law too. But I do believe it needs to get repealed, and I'll try to get it repealed in the next legislative session. You know, that's why. But nobody told me about this law, so yeah, I know I'm a year late for talking about this law, and that's why. Well, 2 years late anyway. Well, I'm 2 years late talking about this law. About that, yeah, that's why. And now we need to get this law repealed. Anyway, so yes, I will. Yes, already contact my state senator, Susan Rubio, for a repeal. But we need to do it in the next legislative session, and that's why we need to do anyway. And hopefully we can inject any more unconstitutional laws will be coming to California next year anyway. Is that make sure we need to reject them before they become law. That's why. But we also have to vote for Michael Gates for Attorney General, and also Steve Hilton for California Governor, because because Xavier Becerra is supporting age verification, and that's why. I can talk about that right now anyway. We'll talk about why Xavier Becerra will support age verification. Now, I know Xavier Becerra is the Democrats' war on voter ID, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about voter ID. I'm talking about about why you will support age verification. Yeah, that's why. Now, Xavier Becerra supports limited restrictions like age verification and bans on social media for minors. It protects children's mental health and well-being. That's why. Yes, it's a security and concerns, but yeah, so it's for harming content. Yes, and then and now I want to talk about why he supports that. So that's why we should not. That's why you should not vote for him. Now, I know he's also having a war against voter ID, but look, Xavier Becerra is against voter ID. He wants ID age verification. That's why. So yes. So I tell you, let's not vote for Xavier Becerra. Okay? He's stupid. He's supporting age verification, and he wants more taxes and more regulations to California. That's why. And first of all, why do you think this guy's gonna win in November, first of all, when he's supporting age verification and all that? And also social media ban, and also bans on social media for minors. That's why. So that's not vote for Xavier Becerra. That's vote for Steve Hilton, the California governor, and that's why. You might think voting Republican is something, well, California's going the wrong way as a Democrat. It's going from taxes to regulations, and now to age station and age verification now. And it's going to get even worse. if you vote for Xavier Becerra, and that is why. And saying that the Republicans can't win in California, it's just like saying it's just like saying the Democrats can't win in Florida or Texas. But it's not supposed to be Democrat versus Republican. It's not supposed to be Republican versus Democrat. It's supposed to be, do we care about our state? And do we care about our privacy online? So yeah, that's not vote for Xavier Becerra. Because he's supporting age verification and social media bans for minors. That's why we should not vote for him, and that's why. And he also wants more of the same, like Gavin Newsom as well. He wants more taxes and regulations for California too. That's why. So, yeah, don't vote for Xavier Becerra. Now, should we vote for Steve? So should we vote for Steve Hilton? Well, it's up to you, but that's C. Does Steve Hilton opposes age? Does Steve Hilton opposes ageification in California? Because I don't know. He's silent about it. But when he's silent about it, that's the problem here. But hopefully, but yes, Stephen does support voter ID, but hopefully we can get him to reject age verification. But hopefully we can get Steve Hilton to reject age verification in California. And that's why, if we're going to vote for him for governor, for California governor, that's why. And yeah, he was the director of strategy of the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, yeah, from 2010 to 2012, yeah. Well, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if we'll see about Steve Hilton. I don't know if he will win this November, but but the only reason why I'm voting for him because I'm not voting for the social media band supporting Democrat. Or ageification supporting Democrat Xavier Becerra. Even though I don't know if he will win this November. I don't know that for sure though. So. But yes, Steve Hilton does believe that voter ID will speed up the vote in California. And that, well, I do believe that would be true, but yeah. Will voter ID speed the vote in California? Probably. I believe so. But yeah. Steve Hilton used to be a director, Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, and the Prime Minister used to be David Cameron. So. And that is proof to me. Yeah, he did. Yeah, he was in office before. He's never ran office before, but he was in office before. He was office under the Prime Minister of David Cameron, so that's why. So that is proof to me. Yeah, he was in office before. The director of strategy director of strategy, to the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. Yeah, that's why. And he can. So that's why he can. So yeah, he has proof of running of. So that's proof to me. That's enough proof to me. He can run for governor of California. So that's why. You know, he only has been an American citizen for only 6 years or so. But I don't know. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I know. Now, oh yeah, I remember Stephen talking about that kids shouldn't have smartphones. Well, I would take the smartphone ban under the social media ban, but that's why. So, but it's still not good. But the smartphone ban is still not good either. But the smartphone ban is still not good either. So, but I know the Extreme is a lot worse than Steve Hilton. So. Anyway, so make sure to reject these bills over here. Hopefully we can get Stephen to reject age verification in California. If we're gonna vote for him for California governor anyway. That's why. But we also need to vote for Michael Gates. For Attorney General. Let's read about Michael Gates. So Michael Gates, since you mentioned Michael Gates, I'll show you Attorney General, former city of the Donation Donates. The administration argues that he gained non-speech abuse or anonymity, computer scientist maintains a relationship, and investigates the laws for data breach risks. Yeah, I know. But Michael Gates, yeah, he'll be the next Attorney General for California. That's vote for Michael Gates. That's not vote for Rob Bonta, because Rob Bonta is supporting age verification and age attestation in California. That's why. And now he's also Rob Bonta's wife, Mia Bonta, is supporting the Stop Nick Shirley Act as well. It's already talked about last video, so that's why we need to vote for Michael Gates for Attorney General. That's why. So let's get into Michael Gates. You can always watch the video why Michael Gates, why he should be the next California's next Attorney General. That's why. And I'll get to that, but I'll get to that anyway. That's why. But that's good. SB 96 repealed soon. The next legislative session, we need to get our lawmakers to repeal this law in the next legislative session. We need to do is just call them and then know to get this law repealed in the next legislative session. And yes, as for no vote AB 729, if it becomes law, we have to ask for a repeal in another legislative session. That's why. And you have to go right now anyway. But thank you for watching this video. Hope you enjoyed. Say goodbye. Adios. And Zaijian.